Call this regular council meeting September 26, 2017 to order. Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Cabot?
Here.
Mr. Halter?
Here.
Ms. Hermes?
Here.
Ms. Walther?
Here.
Mr. Dries? And Mr. Lee?
And I'm here.
Oh, and Mayor Moore.
Okay. Mr. Halter will have a prayer for us.
Dear Heavenly Father, we just ask that you would give us wisdom, help us to serve this community well. Pray that you would just bless our community, allow us to follow you. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have the minutes of the regular council meeting of July 25th, the council meeting work session of August the 8th, and the council meeting work session of September 12th. Anybody have any comments or any corrections on these minutes? Okay, hearing none, minutes are approved. We have a public presentation tonight. Some people, the first one will be Mr. Steve Denny from Wittenwood Schools on the safe routes to schools. And we want to go down there so we can see this.
Oh, is that what it?
Good. Yeah, I can see it.
I can see it.
So thanks, Council, for allowing me the opportunity to speak with you this evening and then go over some of the information about safe routes to school. It's been a collaborative process between the school district, Village of Greenhills, City of Forest Park, and Great Parks of Hamilton County. So happy to share some of this with you, and opportunity for questions at the end. If something really springs to mind right in the middle of it, please don't hesitate. Feel free to ask those questions as well. Also opportunity, if it pleases the council, for public input at the end of the presentation. We're always looking for ideas and feedback on what we've developed to date. We've been working on this for about a year, so the presentation will quickly cover what is safe routes to school, how is the school travel plan developed, and an overview of our plan that we've developed for Wentwood City Schools with the involvement of a team of people from the community and the municipalities of the community as well as the school district. Questions, and then a chance for, again, like I mentioned, public feedback and input. So Safe Routes to School is an Ohio Department of Transportation initiative. It stems from legislation, Highway Transportation Bill back in 2004. So it's been around for a while. But the emphasis of Safe Routes to School is of course implied by the name, the safety of the routing and getting kids to and from school. But it's also a community improvement initiative, really. It's about healthy lifestyle choices, encouraging students to bike and walk to school, and then providing the infrastructure improvements, both from a programming standpoint as well as from a hard, bricks and cement kind of a standpoint, to improve those routes so that it is safer for people to bike and walk. And so as a result, it benefits students, but it benefits the entire community in addition to that. So there is funding for both what the plan calls infrastructure and then also non-infrastructure improvements. ODOT assists communities. Communities are under no obligation, but there is funding available that municipalities can apply for. On the infrastructure side and on the non-infrastructure side, school districts can apply for funds to help with programming. We'll touch base on some of that as we go along. There are 600 school districts in the state of Ohio, but approximately 200 have approved safe routes to school travel plans. So we're seeking to become one of them. Again, the goal of Safe Routes is encourage more students to walk and bike to school. It's a healthy choice. The obesity rates, if you've seen any of that research, is pretty high even among youth. So this is an initiative to counter that. But it also is an effort to make walking and biking routes safer for all community members. There are 5 E's in the plan. It's education, enforcement, engineering, evaluation, and encouragement. And each person on the core team and the team for Safe Routes has a role tied to their name. So it is a process, and it's prescribed by the Department of Education, or Department of Transportation, ODOT. And it basically studies and documents a community's intentions around what they call active transportation, or that is making it more possible to bike and walk within the community and to do so safely. The STP process, the school travel plan, is a requirement for further funding requests, and that's up to $400,000 per grantee who applies, if a municipality applies, and that is on the infrastructure side. But again, there's no obligation to apply for funds, there's no obligation for matching funds unless the municipality makes that decision. So Safe Routes basically sets the table. It allows municipalities to apply, but it does not in any way require or obligate any application per se. So I think that's important. That's why I want to make sure I mention that. And just a stat that's interesting and kind of thought-provoking. In 1969, approximately 50% of the students that lived in communities in the U.S. walked or biked to school. And today that number averages around 13%. So it's a big change from earlier in our nation, and that source is the National PTA. School travel plan development. So there are three real considerations that the process requires the school district and the partners with the school district and municipalities to analyze. And that's where are the students coming from, what travel mode are they using, and then why. It tries to get at why they're choosing the mode they're selecting. And so this might be a good time for this. On the table there, if you would be so kind as to distribute those. This is a front back 11 by 17 color version of what you see here, but it's got a special sort of designation to it that I wanted to explain because it's future thinking. So on one side, you'll see the new 712, which is our current high school site, where Winton Woods High School is located in Forest Park. And on the other side, you'll see probably the one that this body might be more interested in. It's the school that would be located within the village of Greenhills. It's on the current Winton Woods Middle School site. And what it does is it took last year's enrollment, which is similar to this year's enrollment, and by projection, what we think would be similar to the enrollment in 2020, 2021 when the new schools open, and it shows where the students would live and how they might be related to the distance from the school. So ODOT did this for us. They basically plot the kids' addresses. We supply them with addresses. They plot those on a map, and it comes back this way. And then at the bottom, you can see actual counts, and you can also see rings, concentric rings around the school sites. The maps, I will warn you, are not the same. One is located south in the southern part of the district, which is the K-6 school, the new K-6 school coming, the one located in Greenhills. And then the one in Forest Park is centered to the north. So you can see some commonality where they overlap, but they are different maps because they're looking at how far students live from school. By law in the state of Ohio, you have to transport students K-8 in grades K through 8, kindergarten through 8, that reside within outside 1 mile of the school. So that's the law. 9-12, there's really no requirements whatsoever. It's why you see so many districts not electing to provide transportation, including our own district at this time. But you can basically see within a half mile, within a quarter mile, within a mile, and then within a 2 mile. The big red ring is a 2 mile radius. So students from the blue ring in would potentially be walking in. And that really makes safe routes important because I believe if you look at the count at the bottom, if you add up the first 3 stacks of bars, I want to say it's approximately 400 students that could walk in from the village and in the B and C section of Forest Park. They're within that 1 mile radius. So it makes certain intersections important. That's why the Great Parks became involved, among other reasons, but certainly for this part of the project, in looking at how to improve those routes to encourage students to be able to feel like they can walk and bike to school safely, and parents feel supportive of that kind of a decision. So where are the students coming from? A little bit longer on that, but it's because I wanted to be able to provide you with a little more detail on the map so you could see sort of what could be and what we might want to begin to plan for and think about. So Winton Woods City Schools travel plan, we began this about a year ago in 2016. It's connected to the We Thrive community initiative, which City of Forest Park is a We Thrive community. And I don't want to misspeak. Is the village involved with We Thrive? Okay. So that's a Hamilton County Public Health Department initiative, among other partners. And we had a vision, and we basically sat down and developed a vision. It was that we wanted to provide the safest and healthiest route to school possible for each and every one of our students. And so health and safety is obviously of the highest priority. It sets the stage for authentic learning and growth to take place in our community and in our schools. The school travel plan will increase the number of students walking or biking to school, which can promote healthier lifestyles, improve traffic conditions, impact the environment positively, and improve the overall quality of life in our community. So that was our vision. And then we set about basically following the process to develop a plan as prescribed by the ODOT, Ohio Department of Transportation. Things that we did parent surveys, we did school travel studies where we looked at arrival dismissal, did tallies asking kids how they came to school, how they got home, audited existing travel conditions, drove streets. The village, of course, was super helpful in doing that. City of Forest Park did the same thing. And then recommended solutions and countermeasures were developed by the team. And then a special consideration from Winton Woods City is we needed to be sure we aligned what we were doing both to current schools as well as future schools. So we'll go from 6 schools that currently exist down to 2. And that changes the way transport would look and the concentrations of kids, as you can see on those maps. Larger populations per school. So here were the concerns that parents raised, and they were very similar to other school districts' plans we looked at. But the primary concern is traffic and speed along routes to school. Past that, it was distance, how far students had to walk, whether or not there were adequate sidewalks available, and that kind of infrastructure. Parent perception around safety, like if I let my young child walk to school, or even my older child, is the child safe? Adequate or inadequate lighting and signage, there are places where that could be improved. And then we have students that attend here in the village at Primary North that are preschool through 2nd grade. We also have students at Lakeside, formerly Lakeside Elementary, Winton Woods Primary South, located in Springfield Township, that are kindergarten through 2nd grade. So they're very young. Parents were concerned about children that young walking to school. Makes a lot of sense. So what did we come up with? Well, the team identified infrastructure countermeasures. And again, in a given year, a municipality may apply under the Safe Routes program for funds from the state, Ohio Department of Transportation funding, for up to $400,000 per grantee. We found 65 identified improvement projects, collaboratively working on identifying those. Pictured in the slide is the map of the village of Greenhills and the various places where that would be appropriate. A walk-bike path on the west side of Winton between Sharon and Waycross was a real key goal of everyone involved in the process, because there are no sidewalks there, as you've noted, and the traffic is really fast. It's high-speed traffic. Winton Road's built for speed, and it's actually controlled by the county, as some of you, I'm sure, know. So developing a walk-bike path along that was critical, and again brought Great Parks into the picture as a partner. A walk-bike path along Waycross between Hamilton Avenue and Mill. It's in Forest Park. Another walk-bike path along Mill between Williamson Drive, which is Mill Road Station, if you're familiar with that area, and West Kemper. And then the one we just touched on between the B&C section of Forest Park and the village of Greenhills. There's a need for a better developed route on Lakeview Drive near Carlsbad, where Carlsbad and Lakeview intersect. And then into the village there on a path that leads into Primary North. So improving speed feedback devices was something that was discussed. Those are some infrastructure pieces built in. Improved crosswalk signage, markings, and lighting. Those are the vast majority of the 65 are that. Those are lower cost. And then the big 3 you see there are the bulk of the project. I'd say probably 80% of the cost are those big 3 walk-bike paths that would really go a long way for improving safety in our community. So again, about 1.8 estimated in total identified, 1.8 million improvements identified.
Question.
Yes, sir.
You go back one.
Sure.
Why the west side of Winton between Sharon and Waycross when our paths here coming down Winton and up Sharon are both on the east side? So the kids are going to have to cross 2 more streets right, to get to the west side?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they take that up the east side of the Winton?
Well, hopefully I've got the direction right. West would be the side toward Sharon Golf Park, golf course. That's the
That's
west
east.
side, right?
I'm going north.
East side would be going toward Tri-County. West side would be, so part of it has to do with,
You're talking Winton between Sharon and Waycross, right?
yeah, going north. So from Sharon up, so it'd be, if you're going north, it'd be the left side of it.
Yeah, so that's.
So that's, so we're on the same page. Okay, I just want to make sure I'm
just-
tracking
so-
with you.
But our paths are already on the east side,
Well,
up here.
the village's path, but.
Yeah,
So it has to do with the pitch point at the bridge. This has been, I guess, what has been stalling this project for a long time, from what
Okay.
I've understood, or come to understand. It's a county-controlled bridge. The Park District has a path that goes underneath it. The property to the west side is controlled by the Park District until it gets to a certain point, and then it becomes City of Forest Park. And the old Winton Road corridor actually bends to the left to go over into the community, like past the water tower. So the municipalities that did all the planning basically said that is the best way to put a 10-foot wide bike path.
it's just another street for a kid to cross it. It's not necessary, but
Well,
whatever.
I mean, I'll certainly note your feedback, take it back to the team. That's why we're doing
I see it
this.
as another instant where you're talking about kid safety. If you can cross one street to head north instead of having to go.
Talking about crossing Sharon and then crossing
Yeah,
Winton
instead
to
of
get
just
to the
crossing Sharon.
sidewalk on the east side of Winton in the village. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I don't know. I'll take it to the team. It's what we're looking for. So, all right, continuing on then, and then we'll have more questions and comments and input later as well. So non-infrastructure countermeasures, these are things that the schools can do and the municipalities talked about doing to basically encourage students and families to walk and bike to school. So things like a safety town. And these are up to $15,000 a year that the school district can apply for, and also municipalities as well. But a bike rodeo, the Girls in Gear program at the middle grades level, walking school bus for K-6, which is an ODOT training program. ODOT has a campaign called Every Move You Make that's got curriculum that can be injected into, say, health courses and things of that nature. A safe driving pledge for young drivers who are high school age. Annual walk and bike to school days. There's actually one in October. It's a particular date in October each year. Mileage clubs to encourage kids to rack up mileage, and then there's incentives involved. The Ohio AAP Bike Helmet Donations Program, which is, I think, a grant program as well that you can apply for bike helmets to distribute to kids and families. And then enhancing the enforcement of school speed zone limits and periodic surveys to come back and monitor our progress. So those are activities that the school district would be committed to. And it's basically about one activity per building. So it's kind of broken up across grade levels so that it's age appropriate. So these were the folks that were on the team. I want to make sure I give a big thank you to those folks. They're listed up there. I won't take time reading them to you, but the handsome gentleman in the photo there is Assistant Chief Jermaine Hill. I don't know who the other guy is. Yeah, it's me. We went from Quail. We actually biked from Quail to try to Winton Woods Elementary School one morning to try to understand the traffic and what it's like actually on the roads if you wanted to bike. So we kind of wanted to feel it firsthand. That was a suggestion from one of the members on our team. There's a larger team that's detailed in the plan, but this was the core team that really did the heavy lifting and met at least monthly for about a year to develop what you see now. So that concludes just the overview, the informational portion. I'm happy to entertain whatever questions you have. If I can't answer them, I will write them down and take them back to people that can. And also an opportunity, again, if it pleases the village, to allow some public input into the plan, and I'll do my best to capture that and include it.
Steve, obviously there's priorities have to be set on the financial front and what activities or things to pursue. Is there any history to know what's effective? You know, I imagine getting kids bike helmets might be more effective than other types of rallies and things. Is there any way to know based on previous experience?
I don't have that information. I think it's a great question. The programs that were contained in the non-infrastructure most of them have a research base, and they are actually suggested by ODOT.
So there was a source versus
Yes.
just an open
Yeah, it wasn't just, hey, let's think of some things.
Which is nothing wrong.
And we stole a lot from other school districts, what they had done, like the Norwood plan is very well done. We looked at the Springdale Elementary plan, it was very well done. Mount Healthy has a plan that we looked at, and we kind of looked to see how they structured things and what we thought would work here.
So you glean from best practice.
Yeah, yes, yes. Yes, sir. Oh, I'm sorry.
I had a question. I know our, and it's more for us than for you.
Sure.
We have the path on Witten, and then we have to cross over and go this way. Why didn't we put it on that property, do you remember, on our west side across from?
Our right of way wasn't that big,
Okay,
so we'd have to get land from the Baptist church.
okay, because you're
To
right.
my point, right?
Yeah, they cross,
And then
they
they
cross,
cross, and
they
then they
cross,
cross.
they cross.
Yeah.
It's- Okay. So ours was right away, okay. Sorry.
That was some of what Forest Park was describing too, and maybe that's what they ran into on the east side. I don't know.
On the east side, it doesn't look like there's that much room before, it drops off.
Right, no, that too. So maybe it's more expensive to install the walk bike path.
I
It's
think
great questions though, good
there's,
point.
Quite a few, when you're driving up towards Sheridan, up towards Kroger, kids cross everywhere across there, So hopefully some designation would be good, but they'll sprinkle across, run back and forth, and it could be anywhere on their whole area. So if there could be more of a reason not to do that, I think it's not safe for sure.
Are you talking about the Winton Road, Kemper Road intersection? Yeah, that's one of the busiest, highest collision rate intersections in the county, we found out. It's in the top 10. And I don't remember the exact number, so I don't want to commit, but there's a lot of collisions there. And it's kind of over a hill, there's a lot of high speed, it's very busy. And then where Central Drive runs into Kemper was an area that we've targeted to try to give some improvements, but we're hoping to work that in new school design, new site design, possibly rerouting some things to help better with that, because it's dangerous there.
And the part you're talking about on Lakeview Drive is the part behind Beechwoods?
Right, exactly, right. There's a path actually maintained, an asphalt path that's maintained by the school district. Yeah.
I grew up here, so yeah. we
So you know
used
all
to-
about it, yeah. But we would envision making sure that that's in good shape, and then what can we do to beef up the infrastructure coming from Carlsbad? down-
Lighting, I think would
lighting
be a
would be
big thing
huge.
for
Yes.
in the morning, but
Somebody had a question.
Yeah, question back here, or comment?
As a taxpaying citizen, I would just have some concerns. One would be, it would be nice if we could still get, maybe at least, get one bus to go to the west side, go through for the safety of the children.
Yes.
For the weather, for the long distance, I didn't hear anything about the weather, snow, rain, to consider that. And if this is to be successful, we would have to mandate these lights to be at 20 miles per hour zone. And I would think that would be taken into consideration and make that priority if Woods is going to force our children to walk to school. Because the past 10 years we've had, I don't know how many accidents because of distracting driving. Just had one not within a month. Yesterday there was a kidnapping at Forest Park that went through. So I think that definitely during school hours the lights need to be on the road at school zone speeds. I think that would be a number one if do that. But I would encourage you guys to still allow a bus minimal to go to the west side. For the safety, because for the kids that cross.
Unless they change the law.
Cross Witten. When I grew up, I used to cross on Andover. But that's no longer there because of the wall and the cut of the woods. And now you got to walk down to Cromwell. But I've been seeing more and more. We said a mother and 2 children get hit. So I appreciate to consider that.
Yeah. So just, if I could briefly speak to it, because it's a great point. Historically, and I don't know that this would change, have to be revisited, and certainly more comment and input and chances for the community to speak to it. But historically, there's certain streets that the district won't require children between grades K and 6 to cross. And Winton's one of them. So we typically bus from the west side over, even if they're within the 1 mile radius. So Kemper's another one. Waycross in spots, Northland in spots, just because of the traffic. So, yeah. But I still wrote down what you said because I think it's good feedback.
Okay. All right, we got a couple more.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Okay, we have Denise Charles from Hamilton County Office of Reentry. Is that right, Denise? It's different from my niece's, Denise.
Matt, again. One more.
Am I going here?
Yeah, thank you.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
I am Denise Charles, and I thank you. I'm only going to take a few minutes of your time. I am from the Hamilton County Office of Reentry, and what our role is to identify people that have a background, criminal background, parking, whatever that might be. The role of our office is to identify barriers. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Okay, just to identify barriers for each individual age 18 and up, and to work with that client to bring them to self-sufficiency. We help with housing, employment, child support, expungements, anything that is key in helping that person remove those barriers so they can lead a normal life. Most of our clients are either in the city of Cincinnati or coming home from prisons or at the Justice Center or even in the outskirts. So it's my office's initiative to come outside of the city proper to just give you the information that we are here. We're located downtown, and I know that I heard a crime that was committed, just to use that as an example, but we don't hear that stuff. But just to form a relationship with you guys where I can give you the information. If you have, I'm leaving my contact information and information about our program. If you know a young man that might be in trouble, a young lady that might be in trouble, that might benefit from a mentor or might benefit from a job, or that is homeless, or we run the gamut. So we work, partner with other agencies in the community, and most of them are located, again, inside of Cincinnati. I live on the outskirts, so I'm like, hey, we need to know this information. We don't have it. And that's the purpose for me being here, just to give you the information, to let you know that we are here. We like to, restore people, to rebuild them. Made a mistake maybe once, didn't make a mistake, have to go to court. Hey, let's walk you through this process. Let's help you get to where you need to be. So, like I said, my goal tonight was to get out to all of the suburbs and just share that where we are. We're located downtown at 138 East Court Street, right where the B&B is. We're inside that building. You will go through the revolving doors and make a left, and that's where our office is. Our office was on Monday through Friday from 9 to 4. We don't go by appointment. It is totally free. And like I said, we started out as a small office in 2011, and now our work has grown so much that most of our businesses is coming from the city of Cincinnati. And like I said, as a person that lives on the outside of Cincinnati, I want you guys to be equipped with the information to know that we're there. We work closely with the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office, the Public Defender's Office, the Prosecutor's Office, all of the court systems, the jail, so we're well connected. And that's just not for citizens. That you might have a family member that needs services. So that's all I have for you guys, just to let you know that I'm here. I did leave some brochures. I left a couple of business cards. And I'm not going to give you our pins because I don't have enough for everybody. I didn't know Let me tell you, I just came from prison today. I've been running all day. I had to pick up the grand. So I'm just in this mode. So I said, get some pens and get this and get that. So I apologize, but I've been in, where's Daniel? No Daniel?
David?
David. That's you? Okay, we've been emailing.
Yes.
Okay, well, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So we've been in touch and we'll be in touch again for me to drop off more literature and stuff like that. I live close by in Forest Park, so take my card and if you ever need me, I'm one phone call away.
Thank
Okay?
you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have Ms. Nancy Green from the Council of Aging.
You have some handouts I can give you.
Thank you.
I guess make sure the chief gets her card. She doesn't already have
These are paper clipped together. That's the
Two
overview,
grand
10
cents.
facts, and then our annual report. Well, thank you for allowing me to speak to you this evening. And again, I'm Nancy Green. I'm with the Council on Aging. And I'm here tonight specifically to speak about the Hamilton County Elderly Services Program, which is going to be the Senior Services Levy on the ballot this November. And I wanted to speak a little about how we're funded and then answer any questions you may have. The Elderly Services Program makes it possible for more than 5,700 Hamilton County seniors to remain independent in their own homes. It provides services such as personal care with homemaking, bathing, medical transportation, and other services Meals on Wheels that they would need to remain independent. Last year, our program served more than 555,000 meals, provided nearly 329,000 hours of home care. That's personal care and homemaking. The most utilized services of the program are the home care assistance, electronic monitoring systems, and that would be things like electronic dispensing medication machines and a lifeline, along with the home delivered meals and medical transportation. Here in Greenhills, we've served 14 seniors in 2016. The typical client is a woman in her late 70s who lives alone. Due to declining health and mobility issues, perhaps she's unable to perform activities such as housework, driving, bathing, preparing meals, or managing her medications. She needs help at home, but she doesn't need to be in a nursing home. Without the program, however, though, many Hamilton County seniors would find it necessary to move to a nursing home. They would lose their independence, their privacy, and their connection to home and community. And for those who go on Medicaid in a nursing home, the cost of their care would be much higher for taxpayers. And the difference for that is about $4,000 a month in a nursing home. And we service people to keep them out of a nursing home for $367 a month. So it's a tremendous win for the older adult to remain at home and for the taxpayer. So the Elderly Service Program is also important to family caregivers. We supplement, we don't replace what a family is already providing for their loved one. But for a lot of reasons, such as work and other family responsibilities, it's difficult for people to provide all the care that their older adult may need. So we help fill in those gaps. This allows sons and daughters to continue to work and long married spouses to remain in their home together. And for seniors who don't have anyone around to help at all is the lifeline. The Elderly Service Program serves people in the middle. In other words, seniors that are not so poor that they qualify for Medicaid. In other words, they're over-resourced, but they also are unable to afford the cost of private duty home care services out of their own pocket. So the average ESP client has a monthly income of just over $1,600 and medical expenses around $240. And to be eligible for you have to be a resident of Hamilton County, age 60 and older, and you have to have a deficit. In other words, there's activities of daily living you're unable to perform, such as meal prep, homemaking, bathing. It's a very unique program and something that Hamilton County can be proud of. It's a partnership with the Hamilton County Commissioners, the Council on Aging, and a Citizens Advisory Council. And we have more than 40 different home care provider organizations that we competitively bid contracts to. So clients and their caregivers are vital to the partnership. Some clients, based on their income and assets and medical expenses, contribute via a co-payment. And family caregivers provide what they can, so resources can be allocated to other clients that are in need. Because of those important contributions, we can serve more older adults with the tax dollars that we have. This fall, voters will be asked to approve an increase in the Hamilton County Senior Services Levy, and I'd like to share some facts about that. Today, more than 1 in 5 county residents are 60 and older, and nearly 1 in 4 includes at least one person age 65 and older with a disability. Hamilton County covers, we've not asked for increased funding since 2008. Since that time, revenue generated from that money, from that levy has been declining. And as a result, Council on Aging has had to focus enrolling only those seniors at risk for nursing home placement. And we've worked to create efficiencies and find savings in the program, ensuring that it operates within our means. Because of those efforts, there's currently no waiting list, but the program is serving 27% fewer clients than it did 10 years ago. And compared to other counties with similar levy programs, Hamilton County is spending less and serving fewer seniors at this point. The current levy expires this year. For the program to continue and be allowed to grow to serve more seniors, county commissioners have approved a 1.6 mil levy for the November ballot. And this proposed levy will generate $25.6 million annually, will cost the average homeowner $40.25 per $100,000 property value. That's an increase of $10.85 a year, or less than $1 a month. So 92% of the funding for the Elderly Services Program comes from the Hamilton County Senior Services Levy. There's no other funding source in our community dedicated to seniors. If voters do not approve the levy in November, the Levy and Elderly Services Program will end, and we'll have the 5,700 seniors will be forced to find care elsewhere. So I know I've shared a lot of information. I'd be happy to answer any questions, and I believe the 10 facts about the program are also being passed out. Has anyone had experience with Council on Aging or have an elderly family member that have received services?
It sounds like a great service, though, and important. It sounds like a very important.
It's very important, especially with demographics
Right.
growing. Our baby boomers are now going to be starting, so.
And as you brought up, it affects people in the gap, you know. where-
Exactly, it affects people in the gap. It's very important, and it really, it's all about maintaining independence in the home. And there's a lot of people that are in nursing homes that have been forced to go there because they don't have the support at home.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
And we had some extra copies of this stuff.
Okay.
Maybe set it out there if anybody wants to
Okay.
grab it. Okay.
I think this is your sign. Do you need me to sign in? Okay.
Okay, moving on. And tonight I made a change in the procedure for residents to address council, which I'll read in a minute, but part of that is to encourage people if they end up having questions, and I know the last time some questions were sent to the village and didn't, due to one problem or another, didn't get to the attention of the manager, but versus contacting council members and asking questions that the manager's going to have to answer anyway, we have a waste of time of individuals, so the council members have to either say, I'll get back to you, and then try to get to the manager, when it would speed the process up and make things a lot better just to ask the manager. You know, and I had to deal with this when I was the manager, and, you know, and there were times that things could have been handled much quicker if we didn't go through this process of talking to council people to help solve a problem, when that's not really the council person's job, in effect. Okay, so this is the time for citizens to comment on matters before council. When recognized, please come forward to the lectern, give your name and address, and then state your comments or questions. This is not intended to be a dialogue with council or village staff. If you have questions, the questions will be recorded and referred to the manager's office for response. This will allow time for thoughtful and thorough consideration to be given to each question. Council meetings are recorded for ease of transcription. Comments are limited to 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Patricia Bender. I live on Handle Lane. My question is in regards to two areas that I'm very concerned with. One is the closing of the golf course for the year. We've had some great weather, and I know that the majority of the other golf courses around are open all year round, if not till December. And I'm wondering if there's a possibility if the village could possibly keep the golf course open for October and November, if that would be so willing. I'm not sure really what you do to close it, other than maybe take the flags down. But I know with the weather getting cooler, you're not going to have the lawn cutting and all the other chores that go with weekly or bi-weekly or however. So I'd really like for you to consider possibly leaving it open until November. The other concern I have, and I think was a good discussion, would be bringing the post office up into the village municipal building. I know that it had been there previously, and I'm very concerned about the post office leaving Greenhills. There's been many people that have businesses in Greenhills that have talked about it, and everyone has declined from taking on the responsibility. But it would be nice if we could keep our post office in Greenhills. If we don't, we're going to change our zip code, and then we won't have the great fortune of a post office that we won't change our zip code. They'll stay the same. Okay, well, it was very nice having a post office in Greenhills, and it was very convenient and easy to get in and out, which many people realized. So I really think that would be a nice thing, possibly, that the village could again discuss that option. Thank you.
Anthony Schuler, Ashby Street. Just wanted to concur with her with the post office issue about if we can try to keep it. It does help alleviate the crowds from Forest Park, you know, and then how much it has helped us in our village. And with the issue with the busing, I would like to encourage council, especially the manager, because from what I understand, Steve Denny was saying is how within a mile that we don't have any busing for our kids. Like, I don't know if it's going on right now for middle school and Beechwoods. I was just going to see, you know, since we just voted and gave them a 30-year levy, it'd be worth it for the lives of our children here to at least have, you know, one bus service minimum. Or, you know, if you can get more, but if you guys can fight to encourage them to give us bus service for the safety of our kids, you know, for the issue of Winton Road, I appreciate that. Thanks.
All right, moving on. Reports of village officials, the municipal manager, Yvonne Kovac.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have a number of items I want to go through tonight. First one I do want to address is actually on your agenda regarding the ground mount signage for the shopping center. As of like 5:30 this evening, I had still not heard back from the shopping center owner on his approval of the final draft that we've attached to the agreement, to the resolution. But it's your option, I believe, if you want to go ahead and show your support for it and pass it tonight, or if you would prefer to take it off your agenda. I just wanted to let you know he has not commented again on the final draft. So I guess we can talk about that a little bit more when we get closer, or when we're entertaining that item. But I wanted you to be aware of that. Then I want to fill you in on some things that did happen at the golf course. I had mentioned that this is the week we were going to be doing the aerating and top dressing. That was completed on all 10 of the greens using the dry jet machine, which was really fascinating. This thing, I won't go, I gave you the details here, but I won't go into the details that much, but it essentially, it like shoots water and sand into the greens to try to break up. Apparently, we have a huge buildup of the dark black soil. It's compacted organic material, which you can easily see, for example, on the surface of number 8 and on a number of the other ones, that prevents the water from draining down into the soil. So you can also see it in the ones where the cups stay completely full of water. So and apparently that compaction prevents the roots from growing down. Instead, they kind of turn around, come back up, and that browns then in the heat. So lots of issues going on there, but they did make one pass. They suggested that we do another, they come in again in the spring, which should really loosen it up. It was really, really tight. Anyway, to do it again in the spring would promote some more new growth on it. So then that was the greens. The service department also started this week aerating the tees and the fairways. They will keep working on those. And then to address the issue of the closure, it was actually going to work out really well because to be closing, Billy Casper Golf has told us, as of other experts, that there's a good window of 6 to 8 weeks, window of opportunity for planting, reseeding your greens from mid-September to October. So we thought, well, we're going to be closing at the end of September, so let's wait until we actually close to seed. So, I guess I will leave it up to you. Do you want your greens seeded, or do you want them played to continue? Because I would suspect it would be of benefit to not have them being played on while the seed is trying to grow. So, I don't know if you want to talk about that later or if it's an issue, but I think apparently we need to decide what way you want to go on that. We also had another issue come up with golf carts on the course. Apparently there's a waiver we can be utilizing. And I believe at the next work session we're going to be talking about the golf course anyway, but I did just want to mention it since it's come up recently. And one of the other things that I have learned is that I guess the wheels on privately owned golf carts, they have wheels that can handle the road, whereas golf carts from golf courses have a smoother tread, less air, won't create quite as much damage. And unfortunately, we already have signs that people do drive over the greens, so that we better put that in the whole pot when we're talking about if we want private golf courses on the course or not. Okay, another really unique thing, golf cart related. The United Parcel Service contacted us that we apparently have a high volume of deliveries from UPS during the winter, during the holiday season, and they are looking for locations to put a large bin on. It's like something like a pod. It would store a golf cart, and then their UPS truck would come every morning, deliver boxes to that receptacle, and then an employee would take the golf cart out and make deliveries through town. The benefit they feel is they usually end up making deliveries around 7 or 8 at night. Residents would get their deliveries now in the morning. One of the neat things, too, is they'd also be looking for people to hire to actually drive the carts. They have to be at least 18 years of age, have a valid driver's license, and they said they'd be paying about $15 an hour. So that could be another plus as well. And they're looking for golf cart drivers, not just for in Greenhills, but anywhere that they do this. So they're trying to finalize their list of where they're going to do this program. So at this point, I told them we would be interested, but we would still be waiting now to hear any more details that they've developed, and there would be an agreement, things like that. So I would be bringing it back to you, but thought it was a really interesting concept and a really cool way to use the golf cart concept in the community. I want to talk a little bit about the housing development project. We are moving forward with our project. I know you are all probably up to date on that, but I can review some of the items we started, in 2011 or 2012, it seems like such a long time ago, with 64 units. We've sold 38 of those since that time. We now have 26 that are left in the 4 buildings that we, I think, have always known would have to be redeveloped. The question was, could they be rehabbed, or would it require demolition and be redeveloped? So, as you know, we have been studying that. Those particular buildings are actually 2 decades beyond their useful life of 60 years. They're 80 years, 80-plus years. You know, I think there's a ton of benefits to the community of having some new housing rather than trying to poorly rehab these buildings. So we are moving forward with that. Our estimated demolition cost is $150,000. That's only an estimate at this point in time. We won't know for sure what that dollar amount is until we actually get our bids back. So we'll be moving forward with that. I'll have that information for you within a month. And just for the record, the village will not be involved in the actual construction of any of the new houses. We will be looking for a private developer. We will select the developer who will work with our design, construct, and actually sell those homes. So, this is also a really neat thing, came out of our tree advisory board meeting that we had. We have from time to time talked about the need to have our tree inventory on a computer. Actually, it is computerized, but an electronic version. We have located a really cool web-based program called Tree Plotter, and we're very, very excited about this. It has a lot of capabilities. When we think of all the tree-related things that we do every day, it will be able to manage all of that for us very, very concisely, very thoroughly. It also has a really neat aspect. We'll be able to have we'll be able to generate work orders on things that need to be done for our trees. And another thing we really like is it will have a whole element that we can put on our website that will be available to the residents who can pull up some basic information about, you know, maybe the tree in front of their house, or what kind of trees are on their street, or, you know, really just a ton of information would be available. So that seemed like a plus as well. We are going to pay 3 years because you save some money if you do a 3-year upfront subscription. I believe that was $8,200, or was it 83? I think 82 here, but is it 83? 8,300. I'm sorry, for 3 years, and that actually included that's an extra amount for the work order module that we thought was really valuable for us, because a lot of times that's like, did they get to that yet? Did they look at it yet? You know, if all that's us part of it, we're not going to have to spend a lot of time on it. So thought that was really valuable. So $2,000 of that would be just a one-time cost. And then, again, that's a 3-year price that we have for that. What was I going to say about that? 3 years pay up front. Oh, this would be paid for out of our tree assessment funding, because it has to do with management of our urban forest, which, you know, between our street trees and our parks, we probably have over 4,000 trees to be tracking. So it should be a huge time saver and just kind of an asset.
We have more trees than residents?
Yes, we probably do.
Yeah, that's probably
Yeah.
not unusual.
Yes, we
Can I
do.
ask a question about that, or should I save it for the end?
No.
So,
Okay.
for the price includes the purchase of the software, or the rights to the software, correct?
Well, actually, it's web-based, so we're not actually having to buy a product that we
Right,
load.
right. Well, whether it's in the
They-
cloud or,
Yes.
but it's to have access to the
Correct.
software. So as far as propagating the software and counting and identifying trees, does that fall to us, you know what I mean, to do? Or how does that work?
Actually, and jump in anytime you want to, but they will be able to transport our data that we currently have,
Okay.
which is in Excel, into it. There could be some, there'll be like a dot for each tree, and it's on Google Earth.
It uses, yeah, it
Google
uses
Street,
Google
whatever.
Earth style satellite
Yeah.
image,
Okay.
and then it plots each tree based on, they go as specific as coordinates. They start with address. for
So
numbers.
they can gather that data just through the aerial satellite shot?
We will be submitting that data for
Okay.
them
'Cause
to
that-
upload.
That seems like a,
Yeah.
it just seems kind of, from my point of view, it seems kind of pricey, if we're gonna have to spend a lot of time
Well,
to
The
identify.
goal is to not spend any time
Right.
at all uploading the trees, to take they're already working now with our list to make sure that
Okay.
it's going to be compatible with their software. so
Right,
that they
right,
work.
but, so, is that list current? Is that, or who comes up with the list?
Maintaining it.
Okay, that's fine.
Originally, Alan Bunker did, he prepared our inventory,
Okay.
and then we maintained it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand
No,
it. I
that's
thought maybe
great.
some,
That's
I thought
question.
maybe some of the cost was them identifying the trees and playing a part, but it's access to the software.
No. Another thing we do like, though, is they're constantly, I mean, this is like what they do, and they're constantly refining it, and I get the impression that we'll want to be hearing from us on where our needs are so they can incorporate it, and so for that price, we would continually be getting those improvements from them.
I'm just asking the question of the
And
benefit.
the
I mean,
layers, and I could probably go on and on
No,
about it.
no, I'm sure it's really cool, and I would probably really, really enjoy it. I'm just
Yeah,
trying to
I think it's really
understand,
useful.
at some point, I'd like to know the benefit. To know where the trees are is one thing, but what do you do with that data? And if we're not doing much with the data, it seems pricey to me, just my first pass.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, but you know what, I
It's okay.
say
I mean,
daily, we would use that data,
Okay.
probably multiple times a day.
it would be
It's-
just
it's
nice to
amazing.
know
Yeah.
how it benefits the community, is all, just so that, it
Well,
Put
here
some-
again,
Get you more
that's a
data on that.
3-year time period, about 8,200, so.
No, I understand that. I
But
just,
yeah, and as we go, I'll keep you updated on everything it is doing, because
okay.
it just seems amazing.
It's all good. I'm as wowed by data and software as well. I just want to make sure that it's truly got a benefit for us and to understand what that benefit is.
And to that end, if we find after 3 years that it was like, well, this wasn't so
Sure.
great, they will produce everything that we have for us in hard copy, so we have our current data right
Okay.
there. So I thought that was good, too.
Oh, it's good. Thank you.
Yvonne,
Yes.
on the next tree advisory board, when would that take place?
It's in October. I don't know the date right off, but I will get that for you.
Okay.
And they're on the calendar.
And would
There's
it be,
the calendar.
what I'm concerned is, would it be another one before December? Or
Yes.
at this one,
We have 3
would
more.
it be a time to discuss what kind of a tree and where for Arbor Day? I just don't want to wait to the last minute to run and try to find the people to get me the tree, to bring, you know what I'm saying. So if I can settle that already, and let's say in January, the first of the year when we reconvene, and I can have that rolling, that would be much easier.
Because we probably wouldn't start planning for Arbor Day until early in the year, so we
Okay.
can do that,
Okay,
sure.
I
I'll
appreciate
keep in
that. And
mind.
the only request is that it would be a flowery tree.
Okay,
That's all.
All right.
That's what he wanted.
sounds good.
And you're being a good sport. I have one more question, sorry. You said that the funds for this was coming from where?
The tree assessment.
The tree assessment.
Okay. Well, that's helpful because it's designated for that.
Right,
purpose.
for that
And
purpose.
as an
yes.
example,
Yes.
a century ago, we got a grant from Department of Natural Resources to inventory our trees. And I think it was $35,000, $40,000 to
Sure.
do the trees. We had a nice program, except then when computers stopped using DOS, they never had a
while.
program to take it over to what the new computers were using. So it was kind of a waste of money way
Yeah.
back when.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it's not worth it. I just had some
Yeah.
questions.
Okay, well, let's let her get going with the rest of her report here.
Okay, the other items I have really are the questions that were asked regarding the pool. With some follow-up questions submitted by email, the amount of the swim safe contracts you have in front of you there, we did start at 109.5 in 2012, and now we're at the 128, I should say 128.5, I'm sorry, you can correct that. We're at 128.5 now for the next 3 years, so it'll be a total of 6 years at 128.5. Recreation levy expenses for the Greenhills swimming pool over the last 5 years. These do not include things like, you know, food for the community days and stuff that are not included in here. But 2017, you can see the numbers there. If you want me to read them out, I will. Most of it, especially from 15, 16, and 17, we were allocating $10,000 a year for operations, although in 2015 that was 2 years worth there. Straight operations, the rest would be like chairs, tables, and I believe a diving board we had to purchase 1 year. is what those were used for. Pool maintenance expenses for the service department for the past 5 years really have been negligible. So there's grass mowing, and that's actually charged to the lands and building account, and isn't separated out specifically for the pool grass itself. And I'll touch on that in a minute when I want to talk about another aspect here. Average pool revenue of the last 5 years would be $78,060. That would be from 2012 through 2016. And average pool revenue for the 5 years prior to Swim Safe would have been $104,084. That's 2007 through 2011. Now, I attached to your report the information that we did use to determine back when we were contemplating should we contract with Swim Safe or not. And I have attached that for you just to summarize that their first contract with them again was $109,500. At that time, we were conservatively paying $135,119 for the same services that Swim Safe was going to be providing. So if you look at the attachment that I gave you, the two figures with or without concessions would be the two figures that you would compare. We were comparing to the $109,000 contract. There were elements not at that time being charged to the swimming pool account, but were certainly included in what was being done. One was service department. I had estimated some time for what they had done to cover the pool, winterize, clean, store equipment, weekly checks all winter long, power issues, all the things that now are done by Swim Safe. Finance time for processing new hires, putting on payroll, preparing payroll, answering employee questions as to why they were getting taxed. That was always a fun one because they were young kids and didn't know why their paychecks had money taken out of it. Sorry, I remember that. It's kind of cute. Been there, done that. Payroll costs increased substantially every summer because of all the additional kids that we hired on. So that's something that we no longer have to deal with. And then administrative time for troubleshooting, monitoring, resolving any issues. So I wanted to present that information, and that's all I have right now.
I'm going back to another question for the UPS.
Yes.
I looked in here and it says that they were willing to pay the village $400 for 2 months. I assume it's November and December because of the Christmas season?
Yes.
Okay, and what is the likelihood that there is a problem or not a problem with golf carts in the winter, if we get early snows and things like that?
They'll have to put chains on. They're gonna deliver.
They will be licensed, golf carts prepared for the street, so I guess they'll have to.
They'd face the same problem our residents face that run around in golf carts.
And it said on, the pod would be on village property. Did they designate or say what location they were looking at for the?
Originally, they were looking up on Malloy's parking lot, but I didn't think that was a good idea because I don't think we really want to give up any parking places, even though a lot of times it's empty when Malloy's fills it up. I would hate to lose any spots. So we are looking at down below the pool area, like where we have the dumpster and the garage area down there. It would just sit down there.
And have you been talking with the chief on those locations too to make sure they're adequately safe?
Actually, we haven't because this is really new stuff, but we will be doing that. Yeah, we'll check.
That would be my major concern, to make sure that it was in a place that they could easily monitor.
Right.
And that would be an
I think
area
that
that
would-
they could see a lot easier
Yeah,
than
that would-
driving back to the back parking.
Correct.
Because once they know that that's a depot for things like that, that's going to be a.
They're not gonna leave things overnight. The plan
Right,
is
they
to
bring
bring
it to
them
the truck
first in the morning and then
Right.
shuttle them out. And this is, I'm guessing this is basically a test market. I know that I read about it a few months ago that they were gonna do this test marketing, I think in Louisville or Lexington, wherever their headquarters is. So it's an interesting thing. Okay, that it?
One more
All right.
question about golf carts. It was my understanding that you aren't supposed to take any golf carts on a green at a golf course, that you were supposed to go close to it But never to bring a golf cart on the green.
It depends
That's
on
correct.
the course.
That is,
I
okay.
mean, that's the preferred thing, but it depends on the course.
No.
No.
You never take a golf cart.
I mean, in your mind, I'm just saying, I can tell you there's golf courses, you can drive them on there. I don't think it's a good idea, but.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
Is there, should we post something if that's something
We
people?
did, the sign got taken down.
Okay.
All right, Law Director Jeff Forbes.
Thank you, Mayor. You'll see in front of you, hopefully, what I hope to be the first of a regular written report that I'll have for you. It's the typical stuff that we usually talk about, a little legislative update, update on some cases that are happening throughout the state. And also in the future, my hope is that I can get that to you before the council meeting, so you have time to review it. So since no one has seen it, I won't read the whole thing for you tonight, but I'll just hit a couple of the highlights. You'll see on there that House Bill 49 is mentioned. That's the budget bill. It's passed, it's been signed, it's effective. Why does that matter to us? Because there is a provision in the budget bill related to municipal income tax, a new requirement that essentially is the first step towards centralized collection by the state. I mention it in part because, as you'll see in the report, I'm aware that a number of municipalities, many of them up around in central Ohio, around the Columbus area, but I also know that some cities, even down this way, are going to sort of join together, form a coalition, in essence, share funding, and they're going to hire a law firm that actually have already started that process, a law firm out of Columbus, to file a lawsuit to challenge the constitutionality of that portion of the budget bill, to try to protect your home rule authority to, in essence, govern your municipal income tax under your powers of local self-government. So that's why I mentioned that one. I have one on here that you may be interested in, the police chief may be interested to know, House Bill 142. This is a bill that would essentially eliminate the requirement that somebody with a concealed carry permit notify a law enforcement officer that the licensee is carrying a concealed handgun when stopped. I don't think law enforcement will be very crazy about that bill. But it's at least been introduced, and we'll continue to monitor that. Speaking of municipal income tax, Senate Bill 176 was introduced, and I don't think it's gone very far yet, but in essence what this bill would say is, think about municipal income tax. What you do is you tax your residents and people that work here, although most places then have you don't have to pay both places, although some places you do. This essentially would say you would only be able to impose an income tax on your residents. You would no longer be able to impose an income tax on people working in your municipality. So what I would say is think of places like the city of Cincinnati, city of Cleveland, city of Columbus. If they were no longer allowed to impose a municipal income tax on people that work there, it would.
Oh, yeah.
Would that mean they wouldn't have to provide services to businesses?
I suspect there'll be a lot of arguments to that point. And this, again, this concept has been introduced one or two times before, and it's never gotten anywhere, but it has been introduced again.
I encouraged it years ago.
The only other one I'll mention, down in that other items of interest, Senate Bill 331, we've talked about that in here before. That was the bill that essentially said municipalities no longer have the authority to regulate small cell facilities in your right-of-way. That was another example of a number of municipalities joining together, filing a lawsuit to challenge that constitutionality. I think I prepared this thinking, back when I guess the meeting was canceled last month, but I think I prepared it for that month. And just so you know, Franklin County Common Pleas Court ruled in favor of all of the cities on that case and said that that bill was, at least those provisions related to the small cell facility, was a
violation of the single subject rule, declared it to be unconstitutional, and it was essentially stricken from the bill. The state of Ohio has appealed that, and it's sitting up at the 10th District Court of Appeals, and we'll wait to see that. And then, I didn't even have time to add it to here, just today, the city of Cincinnati had filed its own lawsuit on the same topic, making the same arguments that it violates the single subject rule. Judge Cooper, just this morning, ruled on motion for summary judgment in favor of the city of Cincinnati, essentially saying the same thing that the Franklin County Court said. So, and I suspect the state will appeal it also, and we'll see what happens in the various appellate districts and where that goes. But, and without getting into it, the other one I noted in here was a lawsuit related to Senate Bill 342, the red light camera. The good news in that case was, whether you like red light cameras or not, what the Supreme Court did say is that that bill was also an unconstitutional violation of your home rule authority. So what we're seeing, at least, is a few cases where the courts are starting to actually remember that municipalities have home rule authority to engage in all the powers of local self-government. And we'll see if that continues with the centralized collection lawsuit that's just now getting started. So that's that. Again, my plan will be to try to do this each month and get it out to you ahead of time. So that way I won't have to take all the time reading it to you at a meeting, and if you have any questions, you'll be able to ask them ahead of time too.
Thanks, Jeff. Go.
I have a question. What are your feelings about Ohio becoming the 25th state in which you will not retreat, you will stand your ground? That's been debated, and it's going to. There's one of the legislators that used to be a police officer that is opposing certain parts of it. So, what are your feelings about it? And when do you think that this is going to come to a head?
I'm going to tell you, I just saw a headline about that the other day. I have not read enough about it to even to give you any opinion. I'm just not. We're not ready to give any kind of an opinion on that, or on timing for that matter. But I did just see that issue was up.
There was only one part of that the particular public elected official was objecting to as a former police officer. But the other ones, it seems like there is not that much resistance forward. So, but I don't know when it's going to come to a head. So that's what I thought. Perhaps you knew that.
I do not.
Okay.
Okay, moving on, Acting Clerk of Council David Lumsden.
Resolutions 27F, 28 SNS, and 30 SNS were posted as required.
All right, Chief of Police Neil Furterman.
Thanks, Mayor. We've had a busy past few weeks. We've had several serious accidents that have shut down Winton Road for longer than an hour. I think the most concerning element of that to me has been that we have had out-of-area motorists that, at least in the last accident, appears to have been seriously impaired. I always used to tell my family that after 9 o'clock it was a little bit dicey out on the roads, but I don't think that holds true anymore. It's all day, 24/7, with the opiate crisis that we have, and we are encountering more and more of that, and particularly on such a busy highway. So be careful of what's coming at you. We did have a daytime burglary that resulted in charges on a suspect. That was over in the C section. We had a neighbor that had captured a car on video. When she showed that to her neighbors that were the victims of the crime, one of them recognized the car. We also did follow up on our own and were able to trace where the items were pawned. We were able to make a recovery of those items, and we signed charges. We believe the suspect has fled the area, but we have that entered into NCIC, and we look forward to his apprehension. Recently, we had shots fired in the F section. Officers responded to investigate. It was a rather scary situation. As the officers got closer, they saw a muzzle flash. One officer was there with two suspects, and two officers ran up from the wooded area near the school, and they were able to make the apprehension. The suspects were not at all cooperative. They hid the gun. Officers were able to find it. They found the magazine in the suspect's pocket. What concerns me is that they weren't from around here at all. One was from Fort Mitchell, Kentucky. The other was from Harrison, Ohio. So they were charged with multiple felony charges, and we'll be glad to take them to court. Speaking of offenders, particularly drug offenders, we're always happy to spend their money, and if you notice in our lobby, we have a new rack down there that we always had our literature that we would take out to events like the Harvest Fest, and we will have it there on October 7th. But for the most time, it stayed in boxes, so we're able to have that to visitors in the lobby, and we will be taking that out to various events. Other good news is that we worked last Friday with our colleagues at Forest Park Police and Fire, and we will do the same this coming Friday up in front of the Walmart on Smiley Avenue, and we will be collecting non-perishable food items and other items, cleaning supplies and bottled water that will be sent to the hurricane victims in various locations. The most fun that we've had was on September 14th when we had our first session of our Citizens Police Academy. We have 8 attendees that are with that. We thank all of our Citizen Police Academy alumni, including Miss Walter Willard, who came and acted as tour guides as we shuttled the 5 groups around to different stations so they could go through and take a look at all the aspects of our operation. In terms of our statistical analysis during the month, the most recent month, we investigated 7 accidents. That was just up 1 from 6 in August of 2016. Fortunately, we only did have 3 crimes, which was down from 7 last August. 196 other incidents. We had 711 contacts. 323 of those were dispatched by telephone as compared to 312 last August. 388 were self-initiated by our officers. We provided assistance to the public in 176 instances. We made 31 criminal arrests and 94 traffic arrests. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Comments or questions? All right, hearing none. Got a couple things. One, I have 2 months worth of court receipts for the month of July. $90.50 went to the county, $2,591 to the state of Ohio, $11,056.33 to the village of Greenhills, for a grand total of $13,737.83. For the month of August, $91.50 went to the state, or to the county, $24.54.50 went to the state, and $9,938.04 went to the village, for a grand total of $12,484.04. Also, I issued a proclamation early in the month for Greenhills Say Soccer Day, and that's posted in the public places and was on the village website. I won't read it right now, but basically Say Soccer started here 50 years ago, and the first game was played on the Greenhills Commons, and so they held another game this past, or on, what was that, September the 9th, I think, on the Commons. I don't know if anybody caught that game or not. I know Jeff was there to read the proclamation for me. And that's all I have. Okay. All right, Recreation Cable Television, Maria Walther.
I attended the meeting for the Waycross. Actually, it was 3 meetings in one. It was kind of a marathon meeting day there. Also, they discussed how the income situation was a little slower down in the summer, but there was ahead of expectation, so everybody was feeling very comfortable with that. And Mrs. Hermes was there as well. So for recreation, please, 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 anybody and everybody that is available for hands-on on October the 6th behind the shopping center. We are setting up for the Harvest Fest. That is October the 7th. Please come and have fun. We have a doggy parade. We have a SPCA open there for adoptions. And I do believe that a member of our council may be looking for a doggy.
You're trying to get me a dog.
Okay, and then there's going to be, the American Legion is going to be cooking, so having brats and mets and hot dogs, and they're going to be also managing the beer garden. And so this is the first time that we have that. So I'm really looking forward to all the amenities that we have. We have the booth with sales. We have the painting pumpkins.
Pie contest.
We have the pie contest. We have music. We have, please do come and join us. This is really a nice day of in the fall to do that, and hopefully the weather will cooperate. I have been moving up the date since it was at the end of October, since we had kind of monsoons almost shutting it down. But please do come, and we hope the weather is going to cooperate with that. And thank you for all of those of you in the village that attended all the pool festivities that we had, and for the cookouts, and your participation in those. Thank you very much for your support.
Comments or questions? Hearing none, intergovernmental affairs, laws and rules. Anybody want to report anything? Jack Lee?
I'm reporting for Jack. We met on September 18th as a committee, covered a license agreement with the, reviewed the license agreement for the shopping center sign. We also looked and reviewed the tethering law, which is restrictions on tethered dogs, which is consistent with, I think, is that Ohio Revised, is that tied in with the Ohio Revised Code, or is that separate from it?
Right, I can't remember.
Yeah, I thought there were, I thought some of it, I thought some of it, yeah, I thought some of it was consistent with,
I think you're right.
Tethering their dogs.
That's right. That's the piece that they're actually entertaining an amendment to it that would include not tethering animals out when there is a severe
Weather.
storm or winter, whatever, advisory out. Correct.
But that would conclude my report on Jack's behalf.
Okay. Great. Service and Streets, Jeff Cabot.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Service and Streets Committee met on Monday, the 18th as well. Things that were covered in that meeting. Currently, inspections of all sidewalks in the village are being looked at. Residents are responsible for repairs. We're working on a pamphlet to get out to them explaining the process, that the ordinance has been in place for years. And we're also putting together a list of contractors that they can use who we feel comfortable with, that will give them the best price, and we're trying to coordinate that with either replacement, repair, and even the grinding technique, to depending on the damage there. We also talked about the street sign project. We're currently putting the bid packet together to put that out, to start getting some quotes on those. We talked about the new restroom and pathway project by Malloy's and the golf course, which unfortunately, the first thing they found was a water line running from the building up towards the golf course. So I don't know if I have been up there since last week. Have they done anything early this week?
We asked them to give us a cost for relocating the water line.
It is fenced off, and there is some earth moved up there right now. As Yvonne mentioned, the golf course, the greens were aerated last week. I have not been up there yet to take a look, but that is a very neat process from what I saw on the internet, checking those videos out. Water main upgrade project, the Cincinnati Waterworks will be out and about looking at soil samples in the area for projects in 2018. And the catch basin repairs that were designated for the west side of Winton started last week as well. And that concludes my committee meeting.
Can I add on a little bit
Sure.
to the waterworks, because we did just started getting calls from residents that are seeing the utilities are marking the spots where they're gonna be doing their borings for their sampling. So in case you are hearing from people like, they're making like an orange tea and they're gonna see a little something sticking up in their front yard where they do the boring.
There might also be
That's
some
what's going on.
electronic equipment that's
Right.
on the site for a
So-
short period of time.
It has started, just to let you know.
That it?
That's it.
Questions?
Is the waterworks in kind of result of all the water main breaks? Is that,
I think so. I think they still have some repairs there. The water line leaks are all fixed,
Yes.
but not all the rehabbing, reconstruction of the.
and what was the
old.
final total of how many?
Oh my gosh, I think 14. I think we ended up with 14.
Stress test.
More waste
Failed.
than one.
All right, moving on, community development, Jeff Hall.
Yes, pulled together the banner and signage for the Harvest Fest. I still have one more wave of signs that will be for the actual event. We were able to remove the sign, which was the Run for Good, that is no longer joined with our event, and just save the cost of doing brand-new signs, so that was helpful. And met the owners of the sandwich shop. Really, they seem diligent and ready to go in the shopping center. Also been helping the Troubadour has changed ownership. Really grateful for Marty and getting that whole thing going. And also Kevin Foster's doing a great job. If you get a chance, visit there and support all those businesses. Other things we have, and I believe, was it David and yourself that put together a Staying Informed in Greenhills document? I know we often talk about these individually. I don't know if this is something we could either get in the journal or put on the website, so that it really mentions a lot of key things. You can always go visit greenhillsohio.us. You can, Green Hills Police Department has a monthly newsletter that you can sign up for. There's the Village Headlines, which is the Village newsletter. We have our very sound one-call notification system. It's a good way to stay informed, and that can be a cell phone or a landline, either one, or multiple lines if you are up for that. Waycross Multimedia, attend Village Council meetings, Green Hills Journal, the Managers Park Talks, good way to find out what's going on in a local casual setting. And then there's participating in outreaches and volunteering, like for the Harvest Fest and that kind of thing. And one final thing is the ohiocheckbook.com is a good way to look at finances and have a very transparent peek into what's going on the financial front. But that concludes my report.
All right. Safety, Melanie Hermes.
The Safety Committee will meet before the next work session, which is October 10th. Is that a Tuesday? At 5:15. The other thing is Laws and Rules has a ordinance going on tonight, later in the agenda, and it started in the Safety Committee, so I offered to read it since Jack is not here. The biggest thing about this one, it's about standing or parking places for vehicles. I'll read the whole thing in its entirety, but the biggest thing is the addition of the words "or except as marked by village." This was to address, there was concerns about people parking too close to fire hydrants, and this is just as a response. It will not change our practices. If a vehicle is parked within designated lines that are marked on the road, they are within correct parking places. That's how we have always enforced it, but this is just to recognize that this is the way we do enforce it, so people who know about the ORC and laws about parking too close to a fire hydrant realize that our home rule ordinance takes precedent in how we enforce it.
Finance and audit, Mr. Grease isn't here.
I have later on a resolution, and that is for the Resolution 2017, accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission. And that's authorizing the necessary tax levies, certifying them to the county auditor. And this is a renewal. This is not a new levy, it's just a renewal from the existing one.
All right, new business, ordinance 2017-07-LNR, amending series 351.03 of the Greenhills Codified Ordinance regarding prohibited standing or parking places. And this is just going to be a first reading, I think.
Yes, and I will do the first reading, and I will read it in its entirety, just so people know what it's about. First reading of ordinance number 2017-07 LNR, amending section 351.03 of the Greenhouse Codified Ordinances regarding prohibited standing or parking places. Now, therefore, be it ordained by the Council of Village of Greenhills, Ohio, Section 1, that Section 351.03, prohibited standing or parking places, be amended to read as follow. Section 351.03, prohibited standing or parking places. A, no person shall stand or park a vehicle except when necessary to avoid conflict with other traffic or to comply with the provisions of this traffic code, or while obeying the directions of a police officer or a traffic control device in any of the following places. 1, on a sidewalk, curb, or street lawn area except a bicycle. 2, in front of a public or private driveway. 3, within an intersection. 4, within 10 feet of a fire hydrant or except as marked by village. 5, on a crosswalk. 6, within 20 feet of a crosswalk at an intersection or except as marked by village. 7, within 30 feet of and upon the approach to any flashing beacon, stop sign, or traffic control device or except as marked by village. 8, between a safety zone and the adjacent curb or within 30 feet of points on the curb immediately opposite the end of a safety zone unless a different length is indicated by a traffic control device. 9, within 50 feet of the nearest rail of a railroad crossing, which might not be necessary. 10, within 20 feet of a driveway entrance to any fire station and on the side of the street opposite the entrance to any fire station, within 75 feet of the entrance when it is properly posted with signs. 11, alongside or opposite any street excavation or obstruction when such standing or parking would obstruct traffic. 12, alongside any vehicle stopped or parked at the edge or curb of a street. 13, upon any bridge or other elevated structure upon a street or within a street tunnel. 14, at any place where signs prohibit stopping, standing, or parking, or where the curbing or street is painted yellow, or at any place in excess of the maximum time limited by signs. 15, within 1 foot of another parked vehicle. 16, on the roadway portion of a freeway, expressway, or throughway. 17, in any area that is not a paved parking place or parking facility and under no circumstances in a grassy or unpaved area or in a front yard of a lot, except for the expeditious unloading and delivery or pickup and loading of materials and passengers. B, a person shall be permitted without charge or restriction to stand or park on a sidewalk, a motor-driven cycle or motor scooter that has an engine not larger than 150 cubic centimeters, or a bicycle, provided that the motor-driven cycle, motor scooter, or bicycle does not impede the normal flow of pedestrian traffic. This division does not authorize any person to operate a vehicle in violation of our revised code section 4511, 711, or any substantially equivalent municipal ordinance. C, except as otherwise provided in this division, whoever violates Division A of this section is guilty of a minor misdemeanor if within 1 year of the offense, the offender previously has been convicted of or pleaded guilty to one predicate motor vehicle or traffic offense. Whoever violates this section is guilty of a misdemeanor of the 4th degree. If within 1 year of the offense, the offender previously has been convicted of 2 or more predicate motor vehicle or traffic offenses, whoever violates this section is guilty of a misdemeanor of the 3rd degree. And Section 4, that this ordinance shall be in and is effective 30 days from the date of its passage by the village council. So concludes the first reading.
We forgot the covered bridge section.
Covered bridge. And what about the tunnel section, or within a street tunnel?
The train.
Somebody might put a tunnel in someday, so we better leave that in. But I'm not holding my breath for a railroad track.
Yeah, you
Okay.
would like that, right?
Resolution 2017-26-SNS, resolution authorizing assessment on certain properties in the village of Greenhills. Mr. Cabot.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Resolution number 2017-26-SNS, resolution authorizing assessments on certain properties in the village of Greenhills. Whereas the village has given proper notice to the owners of certain real property in the village of Greenhills regarding the removal of vegetation, refuse, garbage, and/or debris from the properties listed below. And whereas the owners of said properties did not take action to remedy the violations, and therefore the village of Greenhills contracted to remove vegetation, refuse, garbage, and/or debris, and now seeks to collect said expenses by authorizing the placement of a lien upon the lands and collect it as other taxes. Now therefore be it resolved by the council of the village of Greenhills, a majority of which concur that section 1, that the village council hereby certifies that the cost of such labor, together with the expenses relative thereto, be filed on the return and statement to the Hamilton County Commissioners as an assessment against the properties listed and placed as a lien against the properties by the auditor of Hamilton County, Ohio, as follows. Description: 597-0070-0197-0052 Andover Road. Owner: Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, $154.50. 597-0070-0148-0048 Andover Road. Fisher Stephen Eric at Fisher Christopher Michael, Fisher Jonathan Robert, $83.06. Total $237.56. Section 2, all amounts collected as a result of this resolution shall be placed into the general fund of the village of Greenhills. Section 3, this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage. Mr. Mayor, I move to pass this resolution.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion, questions?
HUD,
Hey,
Secretary
Yeah.
of Housing and Urban Development.
send him that bill. Okay, clerk call the roll.
Mr. Cavode,
Aye.
Ms. Walther,
Aye.
and Mr. Halter,
Aye.
and Ms. Hermes.
Aye.
Okay, resolution 2017-26-SNS passes. Resolution 2017-29-F, resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor. Okay,
Mr. Mayor, accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission, authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor, and this is resolution number 2017-29-F. Whereas the Village of Greenhills, Ohio, in accordance with the provisions of law, has previously adopted a tax budget for the next succeeding fiscal year commencing in January the 1st, 2018, and whereas the Budget Commission of Hamilton County, Ohio, has certified its action thereon to this council together with an estimate by the county auditor of the rate of each tax necessary to be levied by this council and what part thereof is without and what part within the 10 mil tax limitations. Now therefore be it resolved by the council of the Village of Greenhills, Ohio, Section 1, that the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission in its certification be, and the same are hereby accepted. In Section 2, that there be and is hereby levied on the tax duplicate of said village the rate of each tax necessary to be levied within and without the 10 mil limitation as contained as Exhibit A, attached hereto, and made a part of this resolution. And Section 3, that this resolution shall be in full force and take effect from and after its passage. And I move that we adopt this resolution.
Second.
okay, been moved and seconded. Any discussion? It's pretty clear we have to do this every year. Clerk call the roll.
Mr. Cavode,
Aye.
Ms. Walther,
Aye.
Mr. Halter,
Aye.
and Ms. Hermes.
Aye.
Okay, resolution 2017-28 or 29F passes. Okay. Next resolution, 2017-31 LNR, establishing an indigent burial policy pursuant to the Ohio Revised Code, Section 9.15.
Mr. Mayor, I have resolution number 2017-31-LNR, resolution establishing an indigent burial policy pursuant to Ohio Revised Code, Section 9.15. Whereas the Village of Greenhills desires to outline a policy to implement Ohio Revised Code, Section 9.15, pertaining to the burial or cremation of an unclaimed body or indigent person who at the time of death was a legal resident of Greenhills. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the Village of Greenhills, Ohio, that Section 1, that the attached policy shall be utilized by the village to comply with Ohio Revised Code, Section 9.15. Section 2, that the resolution shall take effect and be enforced from and after the earliest period allowed by law. Mr. Mayor, I move that we adopt this resolution.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? No? Okay, hearing none. Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Cavote?
Aye.
Ms. Walther?
Aye.
Mr. Halter?
Aye.
And Ms. Hermes?
Aye.
Okay, resolution 27-31-LNR passes. Okay, now, do we want to do the resolution on the sign?
I'd rather wait until we hear from the owner.
Fine by me. Okay, so, what do we do? Make a resolution to
Make a motion to,
remove it from the agenda?
Well, it depends what you can, boy, the days when we used to have a parliamentarian.
Yeah, right.
Can we
You
take,
can make a motion to postpone it indefinitely, and that would take it off the agenda, and then it won't come back on the agenda until
Until we put it back.
you put it back. You
Okay.
can, I know.
They use the
Kathy
word
always hated
table,
it
but
when I
it's
said
not.
you could you'd make a motion. You either postpone it indefinitely, or you postpone it to a certain date.
Yeah.
If you think that it will be ready by next month, you can postpone it until next month, and it will automatically then appear back on your agenda. And if,
Well, let's do it indefinitely, because if he comes back, we could conceivably do it at the work session.
Yeah,
Does that sound good?
that
Somebody wanna
sounds
make that
reasonable.
motion?
That sounds
so
reasonable.
I make a motion that we postpone indefinitely resolution number 2017-32-LNR.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, and we'll do a roll call on that versus a voice vote.
On the resolution to postpone indefinitely, Mr. Cavote?
Aye.
Ms. Walther?
Aye.
Mr. Halter?
Aye.
And Ms. Hermes?
aye.
Okay, motion carries. All right, calendar?
Get some guidance on the golf course closing.
Harvest Fest.
Harvest Fest would be for October the 7th, starting at 10 o'clock, the registration of the doggies. And please come and have great time, great fun with your neighbors. Bring your families and friends, and it's going to be an awesome time. And for those that are able to help us out, on the 6th, there's just a lot of things that are to be done there, and not all necessarily heavy or anything like that. It just needs to be done, and we need extra pairs of hands to help us put it together. So if you are able, you have free time, whatever it is that evening, please come and help us out. We'll be there from the early times in the morning on forever.
And I think I heard you're gonna have pizza at the end.
Oh, yes, oh, that's true, and I'm going to have pizza on Friday night and soda pop. So that way that someone will have something not to worry about as supper time. And for council members, I have in here a listing of times that I would like for you to consider helping out for the collection of monies. And I know that we're missing 2 members, and they gave me the word that they were going to sign in. I'll get them later. But for those of you who are in here, you think that what times are you going to be serving, that would be great. I would rather have somebody from council be in charge at all times of the same amount, the amount of money.
Anything else?
Trick or treat, just because it's a month away, I figured we should mention it. It'll be also on Halloween, which is October 31st, from 6 to 8.
So start looking for those candy deals. Stock up.
But on Chief Spade always reminded people to check the batteries of the smoke detectors when we switch our time for fallback.
Yes.
That's very important.
Safety Committee will meet October 10th at 5:15. Community,
Development, October 24th.
5:15.
5:15.
At the 22nd, 24th.
It's not on the calendar.
Well, in that, yes, okay. Also at 5:15.
24th, 5:15.
Thank you.
Is that it? Okay, we're adjourned.